Right, so Misha, first of all, Latvian born, but you're now based in Canada, right?
Yes.
Whereabouts in Canada are you based?
I live in Toronto, in Ontario, Canada.
My wife's from Toronto, so we have that in common.
Amazing.
So tell me, what is life like for you in Toronto? What's the MMA scene like, especially the training for you?
The MMA scene in Toronto is very nice. There's a lot of MMA gyms. There's a lot of MMA fighters. Lately, it's been more and more. Guys been training. It's just the lifestyle is very expensive to live in Toronto. It's just very expensive. Other than that, the training is amazing. I train at Extreme Couture in Toronto.
Okay.
That's actually the biggest Extreme Couture gym that there is. Bigger than it's 33,000 square feet.
Right.
So a lot of different training partners. And lately, since I've been in UFC and I had pretty good success in UFC, I've been attracting many different fighters that are serious about their future and about their fighting.
Yeah.
So I've been attracting those kind of guys lately. So I've been getting some really good training because I teach there and I train there myself. I spar with guys. And lately I've been getting more and more guys, even from Ukraine, some guys from Brazil, just like people coming in and trying to see what's going on, and it's been good training, very good training.
So do you think you can spearhead kind of the overall Toronto MMA scene there? Because I think for the outside world, when you think of Canadian MMA, the first thing that comes to mind is the TriStar gym in Montreal, right? So do you think you can help spearhead the movement in Toronto?
100%. TriStar is a very good, successful gym. They have many good, great fighters. But lately, I've been also getting some fighters from TriStar, cross-train, coming by Extreme Couture. Again, because they know I'm there, and there's a couple other guys. Some time to time, Elias Theodoro comes by. I train with Simon Marcus. He comes by time to time. He's a Glory 185 champion. Robert Thomas is a Glory fighter. There's a lot of good guys we have in Toronto. It's just they're still a little bit spaced out, but lately they've been cross-training and coming, and we've been exchanging some information and training with each other. So yeah, I mean, there's TriStar in Montreal, and then there is Extreme Couture in Toronto. Those are kind of like two, big gyms that you can definitely get some good training in.
You recently signed a new contract with the UFC, correct?
Yes.
How would you describe what the negotiation process was like for you?
Since I'm my own manager, I'm a fighter, and I'm my own manager, so it was a little bit nerve-wracking, considering that, you're doing well, and then all of a sudden, you have no contract and you kind of don't know what's happening. So it's a little bit frustrating. It's a little bit scary, but it is what it is. It's part of negotiation, and I'm just we didn't really negotiate for that long. It only took like 3 weeks. There's a lot of other fighters, other camps that it takes months and months. So I feel like negotiations were pretty smooth. It's my first time dealing with it myself, so it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'm very thankful to Dana White. I'm very thankful to Mick Maynard and the whole UFC staff. We worked out the deal, and here I am, fighting in UFC. I've been getting many different other offers, but I was not even looking at them because I always wanted to be in UFC. UFC is kind of like Olympic Games of mixed martial arts. That's the only organization where people getting tested frequently before each fight, 2-3 times before each fight, and that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in an organization where it's fair and where that everyone playing same ball game. So for me, it was a really big deal, considering some other shows I see some guys are maybe not natural, so for me it was a big deal to be in UFC just for that reason.
So you're in favor of the USADA program, and you like the USADA program?
I absolutely love it. I think it's the best thing. That's what separates UFC to many other different shows. Maybe some people don't like it because sometimes you get those early morning calls, but I look at it like they watch out for our own health and our own safety. And I think it's a really big deal, and I'm very happy the way they deal with it, and I hope that they keep that ball game going. I think it's very good for the sport, and it's very good for the fighters' health in general.
Going back to the contract negotiation, why did you decide to represent yourself, and why not go the route of actually having a manager represent you?
I kind of, I'm a big fight fan, and I watch a lot of things that happens, not just in a fight, but I watch other guys, what kind of managers they have. I pay attention to what kind of conscience they have. I kind of pay attention to the whole ball game. And, we as fighters, compared to many other sports, we don't get nearly as much money. So having someone deal with all that and take a big cut, in my opinion, it's a very, very big cut that what a lot of fighters pay, is just, I still have to pay tax, and then giving cuts, giving to my corner guys this and this, and provide for myself. It's a very big amount of money that I'll be missing if I have to give a big chunk to someone else, because we fight really, really hard for our money. And just giving it away for someone just to negotiate like a contract for you, I think it's a little bit too expensive. At this point, I couldn't afford it, and that's why I kind of try to do it myself. And that's the main reason, is just to save up money and try to make my own better living.
You're on a fantastic win streak right now, and everyone seems to be looking at you as the next big thing in the light heavyweight division. But the general consensus for a long time seems to have been that this division isn't as stacked as others, and it's not as strong as others. So what do you say to those critics that perhaps aren't giving respect to the fighters that are in the top 10, top 15?
That's a very good question. My honest opinion is that 205 pounds is one of the toughest division in the sport. The only other tougher division than 205 is the heavyweight. And, 205ers, a lot of them, if you look at all the guys, Daniel Cormier is a nice, soft-spoken guy. Alex Gustafsson is a very nice, soft-spoken guy. Anthony Johnson never trash talks anyone, is a soft-spoken guy. A lot of 205ers, they don't trash talk as much. So it's kind of like having a big Great Dane. Doesn't really bark as often, compared to some other weight classes where guys are tripping out at each other. But just because we don't bark at each other, we don't trip at each other, doesn't mean we don't have a bite, Reality is, if the 205er was this shallow, then come step guys up, come to 205. If it's that shallow and if it's that easy, maybe come to 205. Maybe you're going to have a better results at 205. I think that 205ers are very tough, and just because they don't constantly trash talk each other doesn't mean they're not tough, doesn't mean they're not great fighters. It's a very stacked division. There's many good fighters at 205, and people should pay attention more to the skill and the fight itself rather than trash talk, because lately I see the only thing that attracts people is that trash talk, and it doesn't have to be always about trash talk. Like, look at Stipe Miocic and Junior Dos Santos. They didn't trash talk each other at all. But if you watch the fight, it's very, very ruthless fight that it was. And just because they didn't bark each other didn't mean they didn't go at each other and try to kill each other. So I look at 205 the exact same way. There's a big talent, especially the new younger guy, the new generation of 205ers are getting signed recently, and there's very, very tough guys, Some guys who can't even speak English. So it's hard for them to get that exposure. But me, I'm a big fight fan, and I watch the skill set. There's some really tough guys coming up at 205. There's going to be very, very tough and exciting fights at 205 as well.
Final question for you then. You win on Sunday, what does it do for you? What are the stakes here? Are you looking to fight the winner of the main event? Are you looking to fight Jimmy Manuwa? Because obviously the title picture is going to be held up for a while with that title fight coming up in a few months' time.
It's very interesting. If everything goes well, I'm just blessed to be in this position, and if I win this fight, then I took I'm going to be in a 5-fight winning streak, and I'm going to be already a top 5, maybe even top 4 fighter in the world. And that's just, for me, that's such a big achievement already. And I don't know, I'm just very excited to see what happens. I've been calling out some people before, but that didn't get me anywhere. So I'm just gonna not call out people. I'm just gonna let Mick Maynard, Dana White do their own job, and whatever they think it's a good fit, it's a good fight. I'm gonna stick with that. I don't want to have any more issues with UFC, and I'm a company man, and I'm happy to be this elite level show, and I'm going to be training very, very hard for whoever it is next,